En el cuarto John, donde los amas estaban reunidos en tu nombre, ya me probó duro. El maestro Yahushua está conmigo y no me ha abandonado. Mi corazón fue bloqueado por ya me salvó, ya me salvó. Nos ha sobrevenido ninguna prueba que no sea común a todos los hombres. Pero fiel es Yahuwah, a quien no dejaréis probado, más allá de lo que podáis soportar. Pero con la prueba también Él escapará, para que vosotros podáis soportarla. Ya no tientes a tus hijos, ya no tientes a tus hijos. El maestro Yahushua me puso a prueba y ganó. Mi vida es una victoria para ya me salvó. En el cuarto John, donde los más estaban reunidos en tu nombre, ya me probó duro. El maestro Yahushua está conmigo y no me ha abandonado. Mi corazón fue bloqueado por ya me salvó, ya me salvó, ya me salvó. Nos ha sobrevenido ninguna prueba que no sea común a todos los hombres. Pero fiel es Yahuwah, a quien no dejaréis probado, más allá de lo que podáis soportar. Pero con la prueba también Él escapará, para que vosotros podáis soportarla. Ya no tientes a tus hijos, ya no tientes a tus hijos. El maestro Yahushua me puso a prueba y ganó. Mi vida es una victoria para ya me salvó. En el cuarto John, donde los amas estaban reunidos en tu nombre, ya me probó duro. El maestro Yahushua está conmigo y no me ha abandonado. Mi corazón fue bloqueado por ya me salvó, ya me salvó. Nos ha sobrevenido ninguna prueba que no sea común a todos los hombres. Pero fiel es Yahuwah, a quien no dejaréis probado, más allá de lo que podáis soportar. Pero con la prueba también Él escapará, para que vosotros podáis soportarla. Ya no tientes a tus hijos, ya no tientes a tus hijos. El maestro Yahushua me puso a prueba y ganó. Mi vida es una victoria para ya me salvó. En el cuarto John, donde los más estaban reunidos en tu nombre, ya me probó duro. El maestro Yahushua está conmigo y no me ha abandonado. Mi corazón fue bloqueado por ya me salvó, ya me salvó, ya me salvó. Nos ha sobrevenido ninguna prueba que no sea común a todos los hombres. Pero fiel es Yahuwah, a quien no dejaréis probado, más allá de lo que podáis soportar. Pero con la prueba también Él escapará, para que vosotros podáis soportarla. Ya no tientes a tus hijos, ya no tientes a tus hijos. El maestro Yahushua me puso a prueba y ganó. Mi vida es una victoria para ya me salvó.
ביום ערבי שבו נזפה שניים או יותר בשמך היא ניסתה אותי מאוד המאסטרי הושע איתי ולא נטש אותי, הלב שלי נחסם על ידי, יציל אותי, יציל אותי. לא בא לך משפט שאינו משותף לכל בני האדם, אבל למען יובל אשר לא תעזוב מבחן מעבר למה שאתה יכול לשאת, אבל עם המשפט הוא גם יברח כדי שתוכל לשאת אותו. יא אל תפתה את הילדים שלך, יא אל תפתה את הילדים שלך. מאסטרי הושע בחן אותי וניצח, החיים שלי הם ניצחון עבור, יציל אותי, יציל אותי. ביום ערבי שבו נספה שניים או יותר בשמך, ניסתה אותי מאוד, המאסטרי הושע איתי ולא נטש אותי, הלב שלי נחסם על ידי, יציל אותי, יציל אותי. לא בא לך משפט שאינו משותף לכל בני האדם, אבל למען יובל אשר לא תעזוב מבחן מעבר למה שאתה יכול לשאת, אבל עם המשפט הוא גם יברח כדי שתוכל לשאת אותו. יא אל תפתה את הילדים שלך, יא אל תפתה את הילדים שלך. מאסטרי הושע בחן אותי וניצח, החיים שלי הם ניצחון עבור, יציל אותי, יציל אותי. ביום ערבי שבו נספה שניים או יותר בשמך, ניסתה אותי מאוד, המאסטרי הושע איתי ולא נטש אותי, הלב שלי נחסם על ידי, יציל אותי. ביום ערבי שבו נספה שניים או יותר בשמך.
You like that, huh? Can't hear you, brother. Let me see. We'll get you down. I'm sorry, my end. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom. I'm back here jamming to Yati, the Shema radio, and I'm just enjoying that. So I was
Me
back
too.
here jamming.
Well, I want to welcome you, and then I want to welcome myself. By the way, and welcome to our friends and Mishpacha family.
Yes. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom,
Thank you so
everyone. Yeah. And I want to just say something, and I don't know why, but Mr. and Mrs. Facebook, for me at least, we're not streaming. We're not streaming on Facebook. I don't know why. Try to connect it, but the good news is we're on all the YouTube channels. We're on Peter's channel, Apostle Peter's channel. So we'll get it on there, sooner or later. But
and if not, well, I'll just take it and rebroadcast it. So that's okay. One way or the other, we'll get it out there.
Right. But I don't know. I don't know what happened because now that we're in Shema Radio 24/7 mode, there's a lot more technical stuff, and there's a lot more technical stuff that could go wrong. So something went wrong because there's just a lot more
I'm ready to start. My family's here. That's it. I'm ready.
You ready to start?
Let me tell you.
You trying to give me a hint?
I love that Shema Radio. I got to tell you, I wish I could put that on my channel with you all day, just so people can jam. Because you listen to that stuff. Let me tell you something, folks. And this is an unscheduled plug, so he did not. I'm not being paid for this endorsement. But I really, really encourage you guys to just feed yourselves on good quality. One of the things that we all have a problem with is we're not paying attention to all the subtle ways that the enemy is coming after you and all the little tricks that he's playing. And you have music on in the background we all do this. We have the habit of doing this. And you get music going and you're just doing your thing. You're not realizing that's all programming. So if you got good Shema Radio on and you're tooling around the house or you're doing your chores or whatever, you're going to get uplifted. You're going to get encouraged. You're going to have messages mixed in there. I'm just saying we need more of that, not less. So bravo.
Well, I agree with 100%. I do thank you, but there's always a but with me. You know how it goes. I've got to have a staff to do this, and today we have a casualty, which is Facebook. So our friends on Facebook, if somebody can just message them on social media, our friends, like folks who work with you, and tell them to head over to YouTube. That would be great. And to your channels, because you shouldn't be having any issues with your channels. So he gave me a hint. Apostle Peter gave me a hint that he wants to get started. I'm kind of like, I do want to get started, but on the other hand, well, wait a second. There are two casualties. One is defacebook, which is defaced for us, for us right now. We got to bring remedy, brother. We got to
avoid getting on your Facebook.
Yeah, we got to. And another is, as we say in European Hebrew, which I'm not a big fan of, although my father was, Yiddish. Yiddish. I heard you were bookking and bookit. I'm proud of you. That was good. That was very good. Excellent, Peter. For an Arizona boy, I didn't think you'd be able to throw a couple of Ashkenazic words in there.
I can every once in a while, man. You remember?
Yes.
I hung out.
You were like Bupkis and
hey, Mani Shma every morning. Come on, man.
Hey, here's a word that's going to come in handy for maybe the times we're in, but I don't want to get into it this second necessarily. But here's another word that I don't talk Yiddish, but it's become part of comedy. So another word is Fataten Bankis. Now, if you listen carefully, Fataten Bankis means bankrupt, but in that word is bank, right? Fataten Bank is, meaning the bank's going under. So when Jewish people are talking, they say, "You're going to put your money there." The bank Fataten Bank is. But it's just interesting that the bank, right? Because the bank failure, things we're seeing in community banks.
How about Sam Bankman Fried? That was a fun one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Too small to fail, right? Too small to fail.
That was no hint at all whatsoever.
Right. So anyway, Jewish people, when they put them where something is falling apart, doesn't have to be a bank, could be a business. Hey, Gewalt is ein Fataten Bankis. Anyway, so not only is the Facebook, but mein Eigen. Now that's almost like an ayin in Hebrew, Eigen. Eyes, because of this Shema Radio stuff, I'm like, things are blurry now. So I see you in the Ruach, but hopefully by the end of the broadcast, I'll see you a little bit better. But I mean, praise Yah, I can see, but you know how it is, staring on the computer for a long time. Anyway, hint, let's get started. So, Apostle Peter, let's play Bible roulette a little bit, or topical roulette, and you get
one thing that
first topic.
Well, let's touch this. There's a couple topics we can talk about. We're heading into the brand new year, and as is generally the case at this time of the year, there is a little bit of confusion because you have the various mechanisms for appropriating the thing we call time. And there's always a sort of conflagration. And yet we have very specific and precise tools like a sundial or other tools to help us to be very, very, very precise. And this allows things that otherwise we wouldn't be able to resolve. So I'm grateful that we're where we are. Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of people that are still struggling with that. So I think that's something that we should talk a little bit about, why
Sure.
we're so confident where we are, why we're so confidently able to say, you're about to see the new year here in just a few days or 2 days.
Yeah.
That doesn't move. It's not something that can be moved or manipulated by men.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, one of the biggest things that has really been a barakah to me since 2018, when this matter was finally resolved for me. And it took a certain extraordinary event. So those of you that are out there still vacillating, just understand that it's not a small stronghold to break. It took quite an effort. It was quite a thing for it to bust through. And then when I got it in 2018, I remember I stood up in the midst of the fall feast and had to make the correction right then. And that was a big thing, because you're doing it publicly. You're admitting that, hey, I had it wrong. We had it wrong. We're wrong on this timing. We need to shift. And we shifted by the Ruach. We shifted because nobody else that I saw out there was shifting. People were talking about it, but as far as publicly saying we messed this up and we're moving from that to the Zadok and we're done. And this conversation is over. And ever since then, stabilization. We've had different kinds of warfare since then. So then the enemy of the Zadok came for us, right? So who's the enemy of the Zadok? Well, we already know. We saw them. So that's who you got to deal with. As soon as you make that switch, you're going to deal with that battle. The ancient battle that you read about in the scriptures, that you can read in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that you see this contest going on, this battle, okay? You're going to enter into the battle the minute you shift to Zadok.
That's true.
I love that you were able to bring that the dialogue. Go ahead, brother.
My take on this, and this is, as you said, through 3 or 4 decades of struggle, not just being wrong, but right struggle. Mm-hmm. I came to the conclusion that Callan fusion, not all of it, but a lot of Callan fusion, as we approach the new year, is self-imposed. Because we're still trying to tell time. It's the kindergarten teacher, it's the first grade teacher, it's the high school teacher who taught us how to tell time. Like Wall Street tells time, or like Main Street tells time, or like K Street tells time. We're Yisrael. So here's what the Father showed me. Who when you read Scripture, can you tell Scripture? No, you study Scripture. And then what do you do with Scripture? You rightfully divide it, right? Same thing. Correct. In order for you to understand time, you must learn how to divide time. That's what the Father does. He is time. He's in time. He's outside of time. He is time. And so over and above time, the master over time. So the same way he teaches us how to divide Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6 from Isaiah chapter 4, which is a millennial passage or a kingdom passage, he has to teach us how to divide time. When we allow the Ruach to teach us how to divide time, all Callan fusion will end. But see, we need that pacifier. And I think that's what, I've talked to you a little bit about this before. Everybody likes, well, okay, well, what's the calendar? Okay, fine. So we'll give you the pacifier because the Zadokites had a calendar. But all the Zadokites did was confirm
Right.
what the angels were
That is
What
100% correct.
angels
That's
were
100% correct.
clean angels.
Stop on that point. Stop on that point. Just don't go any further than that. Stop right there. The angels.
Who you telling to stop? Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
The angels. What a great point, bro. What an amazing point. Because so often we're down here, puny human, you know, making all this, you know, creating and deciding things. No, you receive it. You receive it.
Try it.
It is a posture issue. I really do believe this. I have seen this attitude that I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to deduce it. I'm going to calculate it. I'll prove it. Here's one. I can prove it. Oh my goodness. Put your pride down. Crawl in the cave. Crawl in the cave. This is the way I looked at it, brother. And give me your thoughts. Yeah. Crawl in the cave. Don't walk in. You don't get to walk in this cave. You want to sit with the Zadok, you got to crawl in. You crawl in the cave through some hole and you sit there and they teach you. What are they teaching you? What they had to learn. How that they had to receive, not dictate, not tell everyone anything. No, they saw and received and went, oh, that is correct. It's very humbling. It's very, very humbling.
Here's the deal. Unfortunately, I became a scholar in this area because I failed. Like you said, I failed so many times.
Unfortunately,
I've been in and out of caves, as you said. Okay. Then I had every Ephraimite who had returned to Torah for 34 seconds sending me a calendar, and usually it was with a number 2 pencil, you know, or a graph, and I'm like, okay, this dude's been in Torah for 34 seconds. So now you have the calendar. See, that's the problem. If the premise is wrong, everybody online is going to be wrong that's peddling a calendar. There is no calendar. Now, you may say, well, for new folks, we got to go slow, and we have, that's true. But
I don't even like the word calendar. I don't even like that word.
It's a Roman word, a Latin word. But so the point is, Jubilees teaches us that Yahuwah divides time and the angels receive it. Yahuwah divides time, and Peter Martinez and Moshe Kanachowski receive it. The same way we receive it. We receive it. It's the download. It's the Ruach downloading what he wants us to have.
So beautiful. So different.
Facts. Those are facts. And then you can call it a calendar. Why? Because the Zadokites and the Itamarites confirmed it. And Moshe confirmed it. And Aaron confirmed it. And a marvelous passage at the end of 1 Chronicles 24, where we have the dividing of the priesthood between the sons of Zadok and Itamar. We said, and I never saw this until last week, and this is what Yahuwah commanded Aaron. I'm like, wow. So David didn't receive a revelation of anything. He received a call to, as you always say, break through and restore. Mm-hmm. That was a restoration. The Zadokites were merely a restoration. And we are restorers of the breach. That's why we consider ourselves Zadokites, correct?
Right.
So, but let's be clear, because I didn't understand this fully until recently. David did not receive a revelation to divide the priesthood into 24 orders. No, this was shown to Aaron, and guess who Aaron confirmed it with? Moses. One more thing. This will blow your mind. Ready? Yahuwah said to Moses, what is in your hand? He said, Zeli Mata. This is a rod, which is also the same word for tribe. He said, Zeli Mata. This is my pole, my staff. And then Yahuwah said, with this rod, with this Mata, you will do the signs. Not just before Pharaoh, but the Genesis 1:14 through 16 signs. In other words, stick it in the ground and do the signs of the Pesach, the signs of the Aviv, the signs of the 7th month. He says, with this rod. So the original calendar was a rod of Moses.
That's right.
Fact.
Okay, folks, slow down and pay attention to what he just said. Because what he's essentially telling you is that what he is telling you is that the sundial, that is the rod, all right, has to be used in order for you to get correct.
Yeah.
So how I can say, oh, I think, I think this, in my grand wisdom, I think this is right.
Yeah.
Right. But how do I know? Because I must guard the month of Abib. That's a protecting word, the same word as used for the guarding the way to the tree of life. Okay, so
That's right.
there's no lightness to this word. It's a very heavy word, and when you realize that it is the light that tells the truth, I gotta say that again. The light tells the truth.
Beautiful. Yeah.
When it's the light telling the truth, it's not personal.
The light,
it's not up to you or me or anybody else.
Light and the miracle. The rod is symbolic of the miracle, supernatural working power of Yahuwah. It's a miracle to rightly receive time, because everybody's learning how to tell time. This sounds weird, yeah.
Receive time.
But was not that the signs by which Yisrael would be delivered? In every way, from Janus, from Ishtar, not just from Pharaoh. That rod, that was an ancient sundial, or the first sundial for that matter. Now it's true, Yahuwah probably told Moshe, now listen, you can't just stick it in the ground because of the latitude you're on.
That's right.
So you might have to angle it 30 degrees or take the rod and just angle it
33.3 degrees, bro.
Now I'm scared.
And so what did he say? He said, if as Moshe lifted up the pole in the desert, if I be lifted up, I be drawing all men to myself. So we cannot deviate from this. We certainly cannot ignore this. We are looking at a stake in the ground, which Moshe, by the way, would end up wrapping a serpent around.
Yeah.
And by the way, I believe this is huge telling. So he is letting you know, before the flood, the way in which, I like to say it this way. I don't know if Moshe will agree with me. I don't know. We'll see. But
I'm right. You're right. Let's eat. Of course.
Yeah, let's eat. Before the flood, this tactic was used to great effect.
Yeah.
And I like to say, when you're wrong about time, you're wrong all the time.
That's true.
And so you're in a state of error on a perpetual basis. And I believe it's a bit of a frequency thing. And I don't believe it's a bit of a thing. I think it's a frequency thing. And I think if you're off frequency, you're in the spirit of error. And this means all error will manifest. So you see pre-flood, what did he say? The earth was filled with violence, the desire to violate and the desire to control another using their selves. The one control another person, this desire to violate each other. Okay. And the earth was filled with it. Who did Yahuwah sent Enoch with remedy to this problem? With remedy. And one of the things that he hit on when he's closing these demonic doorways that you all opened on earth, right? One of the demonic doorways he shuts down is this issue by sharing the heavenly tablets and expressing what you just said, that the angels are the ones, the Malakim, keep the time that Yahuwah released. They received it and manifested it. And so we don't dictate anything. We sit and receive it and sync up, if you will. So Enoch synced them up. Noah and his family were on correct time. I like to say it this way too. The only people that survived the flood were the people who were on Enoch time.
That's true. See, but religion tells us that the angels don't need time. They live outside of space and time. Well, guess what? That is a lie. See, again, if the premise,
not true.
Look, Jubilees makes it clear. Enoch has made it clear that that they are guarded and conduct themselves the same way we do, and they're part of
That's
the
right.
assembly. They're part of the Shabbat assembly. We didn't know
Yes.
that until the Dead Sea Scrolls. That when we gather on Shabbat, the angels are required to gather. So there's the assembly above and the assembly below connecting. It's the same thing with time. Do angels need time? No, but in order to connect with the messengers like you and me below, they keep time as an act of worship. See, we keep time out of necessity, but the angels keep correct time as an act of worship and to identify with us. And then when we obey the Father, we also identify with whom? With the Malachim. It's beautiful. It's just I and you and me. It's that whole wheel within the middle of the wheel scenario. It's a beautiful thing.
So to confirm, if I may, what Moshe just said,
Your
to
program.
confirm what he said is the angels have to align themselves with time. Where do we see this confirmed? Well, the scripture tells us that those who fell because they did something specific. They left their first estate. Now, Yahuwah describes this. He tells you that they did not appear at their appointed time. So they rebelled against his schedule.
That's true.
And as a result of their rebellion from his schedule. So if you don't think the schedule is important, this whole thing started because some bunch of angels decided they were not going to show up on time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just to cut it to the quick. And so life and death are on the correct time. Life and death are on the correct time. And I can prove that because this is an issue that, again, I say with love, I say with great respect for all of my brethren. We love you all. We do not compete with any of you. But do you think that either Moshe or I want to appear in what is a kadosh place? Somebody else may not think it's kadosh. Okay, fine. You don't think it's kadosh. That's your business. But we know that we better not show up on the wrong day, because if you show up on the wrong day, you are making exactly what Jubilees predicted. You're kadosh. You're making kadosh the wrong day, and you're desecrating the wrong the kadosh day. How big a sin is this for those whom Yahuwah has called? Now, again, as a congregant or someone just observing, you may not, to whom much is given, much is required. If that wasn't given to you, it's like no shake off you. You're like, I don't know. That's not my job. Somebody else is given that assignment. But if you're a Sholiach in the last days, and that's your calling, you don't care if anybody on Facebook, Makebook, whoever book doesn't like it. You're going to do this on the right day because your life is on the line. And so
look at SA10. All right, you're right. They didn't show up on time. They rebelled against Yahuwah. But SA10 took it a step further. He said, I'm not showing up at any time. To show you what a distaste I have for your time and all these other guys who are on your time and they're not marching according to my time or my drum beat, guess what, Father? I'm not going to show up anytime. So Yahushua says, you're right. Bye. You're right. Think about that, because the chief didn't want to show up at any time. Right?
He most certainly did not want to stop what he was doing, his collection of merchandise, Ezekiel 28.
Yeah.
By the abundance of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Sequentially, you watch that. And so this spirit is a violator of that boundary that keeps us united.
But Peter,
he's a violator of it, just so you know.
Yes, I agree. I mean, if I may say so. As long as we make calendars, as long as we do not receive it, just like we receive the Ruach, just like we receive the gift of a wife. You have to, it's all about receiving. Okay.
Yes.
In other words, listen, there's human math, which is calendation, and then there's heavenly math.
Come on.
Yahuwah uses heavenly math. Why will we?
Come on.
Why are we so proud or still in the dark that we're not willing to allow Yahuwah to teach us heavenly math? It's not that math is wrong, but I think Yahuwah knows how to use mathematics or numbers a little bit better than we do, right? So put the pencil down, put the paper down, and say, okay, Enoch received heavenly math. The Zadokites received heavenly math. If you want to keep the feast and not going, am I missing it? And ask 49 people if you have the right day. Then you heard that Yahuwah has a prophet named Isaiah. You heard that Yahuwah has a prophet named Ezekiel. He also has heavenly math. You didn't know that. People don't know that. You do, but people don't know that. And that's the key. And by the way, Enoch was the apostle of time. See, even though he's immortal right now, he's also an apostle. Because
he was sent.
He gives us 109 pages of,
that's right.
Of a lot of it is heavenly math. So
don't you think they were closer to his writings too? Back in the day of the Dead Sea Scrolls, they had access to a better library than we have.
Sure. But in order to make a calendar, you got to kick him out.
Well, if you're going to make the quote calendar, not receiving time, correct time.
Right.
But if you're going to make quote the calendar,
you got to kick him out.
Yeah. He's right. Technically correct.
Out of your collection. Correct. But a lot of people don't realize that. They think, oh, Enoch walked with Yahuwah and he took him and he's one of Yahuwah's robots. Excuse me. He's not one of Yahuwah's robots. He goes back and forth, whatever the angels are assigned. He's literally called the apostle of time. See, and I don't want to get into this now because you're going to get in trouble. I'm going to get you in trouble. In 6 episodes, I haven't gotten you in trouble
what?
yet.
Hold on a second.
I'm going to get you in trouble.
Me in trouble? Listen. I seem to get in trouble just sitting here. I'm not
going to go down this road, but I'm going to make a statement.
I've never gotten more in trouble being farther away from people in my life.
But I'm going to make a statement, and I don't want to talk about it simply because that's not the subject for today. So don't worry about it. I'm not going to go down that road. The book of Revelation is the revelation of Yahusha, correcto, to Yochanan, correcto, through an apostle, Enoch. How do I know? When you read Revelation 21, he says, I used to walk the earth. Do not worship me. I am one of your brothers. The angels were never a fleshly brother to Enoch. To John. He says, I walked the earth. I was once one of you. Now I am an immortal spirit, an immortal being. Do not worship me. Right. It is Yahusha's revelation to Yochanan, true, but the apostle giving it is clearly defined as someone who used to be on earth, Genesis 5, and walk with human beings and is no longer walking with human beings. So to me, it's clear. So I don't want to go down that, but I just throw that out because Enoch is a giant. Enoch is a giant, not a Nafal, a true spiritual giant. He's entrusted with time, but he also gave the final revelation of some people's canon to Yochanan. And everybody holds the book of Revelation in high esteem. So when you study that a little bit, you're like, oh, because it tells you right off the bat, the angel that came to me on the Isle of Patmos. The angel is what? A messenger, right? Well, there's only one that I know of, maybe 2, who used to be a human brother to Yochanan and to Thomas and to Bartholomew.
Interesting.
So send the letters to me, all right? So if you get any emails. Now, somebody's going to say, well, I heard Moshe say that Yahuwah didn't give the book of Revelation. Well, if that's what you heard wrong. I didn't say that. He did. Yahuwah gave the book of Revelation. Yahushua Mashiach. But the question is, who was the angel? Now, if you have it, like I've heard you say, if you have a better theory, I'm all ears.
Listen, and can I just say, guys, we really, really, and I love that you said that. Thank you for saying that. When we've really got to continue to collaborate on the things that we find and share them. But again, keep removing the word compete. Keep removing that and just keep washing that out, guys. Everybody out there, do not get into a competitive mindset. Don't think to one up one another. Be rejoicing as you share things. And one of the things I love about our interactions, I learn every time I sit with Moshe. I learn something. I dig in an area that I didn't otherwise dig, and so this is the whole point of these conversations. It's not to dictate to anyone. It's just to say, hey, did you know this? Did you know that? Did you look in this area? We've spent a little time here. You may want to look at this, and then as you do, you're going to receive. Here's the key, because nobody can make you get this. You receive these revelations.
I got news for you. Every time I got news for you. Every time I open my mouth, I'm learning. It's not like I come in and I say, okay, I'm going to teach Peter something, or I'm going to no. As Yahuwah lives, when I open my mouth, he's teaching me. That's why Hebrews 4:12 is true. It's a two-edged sword.
That's right. That is correct.
They're getting shaved, and I'm getting shaved.
Oh, I have conversations. I'm sitting talking to Paul, or I'm talking to one of the other leaders or elders or somebody, and I'm typing half the time because I'm like, oh, that was good. Oh, that was good. Write that down. Oh, that was good, because you get things as you go. So out of the belly, the rivers of living water will flow, and out of the abundance of the heart, since your heart is stayed on him, the mouth is going to speak. And so you're going to have abundance of revelation as you just keep walking. But I just want to encourage everybody, please, please, please remember this. This continues to distinguish us from the fakes, the sons of darkness, the Pharisees. I want you to just see them in your mind. Just see them, not in the water, not obeying, no, standing on the edge of the water, yelling at John, trying to have a confrontation with John while he's trying to baptize people. Okay, literally, can you see the scene? Can you see these guys? Unbelievably arrogant, unbelievably, disgustingly proud, and then on top of that, being jerks, not letting people through. Like, you got to push your way through to get to John because they were blocking the way. So when Messiah says this parable, says you don't enter in and you block the way for others, he's telling you exactly. They literally blocked people who were trying to get to the baptism.
Right.
If you think it was just they stood there and pontificated, no. They actually physically were trying to stop people, like they had derangement syndrome. How many know a modern example? Like we see people with a little derangement, right? Well, take it back a couple thousand years, because these guys were in the business of putting demons into people. Well, that's what they were in the business of. Peter, Yahusha is ruining their demon insertion business. Go ahead, brother.
That's why the Pharisees don't use the sundial or a pole like Moses did, because the sons of darkness, they don't want the light that you need. Like you were saying earlier, you need light for a sundial or Moshe's rod to work, right? Well, why would you expect the sons of darkness to use the light? So what do? They look for the dark moon. Think about this, because we're talking about time. That's right? Am I right? We're talking about time. Mm-hmm. So this is where I came from and where most believers start. Some kind of lunar or solar lunar calendar, hybrid, mixed breed calendar, mixed breed. So, like, check this out, Pete. Maybe you can explain this to me, because I'm not that smart, and I'm serious, okay? They used to train me to run outside and look for the dark moon. And don't forget your binoculars. Well, wait a second. Are you
had binoculars?
No. For years, they had me. I was 20, 30, I don't know, decades. I was running out looking for the dark moon, okay? Now, the problem with the dark moon is what? Da-da! All right? It takes 5 days to see a crescent, 4 days. But what happens if it's cloudy for 2 weeks? You ain't seeing nada for 2 weeks, but you got to be a watcher. So who are the original watchers who want you to watch for darkness? You know the answer to that. So it's not a matter of what calendar is right. Listen, people, because there will be thousands listening to this later, right? We believe that. It's not a matter of who's right. It's a matter of, like you were saying earlier, light or darkness. Peter, I was a nice Jewish boy. Now I'm not so nice. And now I'm a truthful Jewish boy. I used to be a nice Jewish boy. And now, for years, do you see the moon? It's right there, the crescent. I say, the only crescent I see is the one in Saudi Arabia. What am I looking for? Oh, it'll appear 8 days, 9 days, cloud cover, 11 days. Do you think Yahweh wants us to tell time by something you can't see for 14, anywhere from 24 to 14 days a month? You can't see it. So how are we supposed to tell time? Would Yahuwah torture us? Listen to me. Would Yahuwah torture us and put something there to tell time that we couldn't see? I mean, this is crazy, man. And
realize just how crazy or lunatic-y it was until I was in Israel. And when I was there watching the practical application of this lunacy, and then I remember we were doing exactly this, 2015, and we watched and we said the moon has not been sighted, and that did not have any effect on the people that had already scheduled their celebrations. They had already scheduled their events. They didn't care anything about sighting the moon. So you guys are the experts at this. This is your thing, and you guys don't even care.
Some experts.
That's what I saw. I was in Jerusalem and I saw this, and I was like, oh, so if you don't even care, then you obviously don't really take that very seriously. So what is this? Some big joke? and you realize that, yes, to a large degree, you are all figuring out a lot of jokes, a lot of little games were played on you, and all of them are meant to take you just a little off and a little more and a little more and a little more, because what you don't know is that every lie is a portion of insanity. And so by bringing insanity into your thinking, you are incapable of receiving from the heavenly tablets. You're stuck. You are, quote, imprisoned. This is where lies imprison you.
That's right.
And so the more you got lies about time and about, how he divided time and all of this stuff, you literally go mad. Your mind literally cannot process, because 2 and 2 is not equaling 4. This will make you angry, agitated, and violent.
Yeah.
So why are you shocked to see that the people who do not get on correct time, for lack of a better way to say it, become violent opponents? They're not just your opponent. They become a violent opponent. Have you noticed that? It's not just, well, I just disagree with you. Nope, that's not. Oh, I just, I'm going to believe this and you can believe that, and we're going to go our separate ways. Nope, they will come from wherever they are, some dark corner of the darkness over there, follow the moon right to you. Okay. Like moths to a flame, and say, and then come to you. You're not doing it right. Well, look, if the hate that's in you is the right way, I want to go the wrong way, because I don't want to look like you. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Peter, I've studied this for 4 decades. The same way I was one of the original 2 house teachers, I was one of the original true time teachers. It took me a while. But here's what all the people who use solar lunar, calendario. Oh, we don't use the moon like the Muslims. We tenemos solar lunar like that. Ooh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to accuse you falsely. Here's their problem, Peter. And the average John, Joe, or Jim doesn't know this. They tell you the moon has, some lunar months have 29 days. Some lunar months have 30 days. That's a lie. You know that a lunation is 21 days? So when the rabbis tell you, well, there are 6 months with 29 days, and then there are 6 months with 30 days, that's a lie. A lunation...
That's all presuming a lot of time that is not visible.
Literally, scientifically, 28 days. So that means every 29th and 30th day doesn't exist. Now, when we go solar, se acabó. Every month has 30 days.
Let's talk about the course of the priests.
That's a big topic. That's a big topic.
Well, are these courses given out by month or by week?
Yeah, good point. 2 weeks a year.
They're not given out by month. They're given out by week.
2 weeks a year.
Measure. Right. That's the measurement used. So it's not used. Month is not used as a measurement. in that equation, and that keeps the 7-day cycle intact.
Yeah.
So you don't ever mess with the 7-day cycle. These are all critical elements, again, folks, that you break when you play with these things. And the result, this is the key, is what you should see is increasing lawlessness and a desire to violate or violent behavior. And this is something that I have witnessed repeatedly, is especially what the Dead Sea Scrolls call sons of darkness, is they are not nice. And they if they could, they will kill you.
That is true.
To win the argument, to win their battle, to win their fight with you.
That's true.
Killing you is totally acceptable. Totally acceptable.
That's right.
Just kill you.
Yeah, but let me do a couple of things. I want to remind folks that pardon me, we're not on Facebook. So if you can just let people know to go to YouTube, they want to watch us live. So Facebook is not working. So please just take a minute and message someone and say, yeah, you can catch the broadcast on YouTube. So getting back to the moon thing. But here's the problem, and you see it, but people, if I said to the people, and if I said, Friday is missing, it's a 7-day week, but it's actually, there is no such thing as Friday. All of you would jump ship. You would look for the Titanic so you can join them, right? Hello? Brother, their calendar is wrong every month because those days do not exist. Look it up. You can AI it, you can Google it, you could BI it, you can CI it, or CIA it for all I care. That's what happens when you don't receive time.
Right.
And here's the thing. Everybody who follows a calendar, even some of your former buddies, my former buddies, right? Here's a problem. They go online, they look for the moon phases, or they look for the U.S. Naval Observatory, or they look for NASA. Okay, so let me get this straight. All year you're busting NASA. There's a flat Earth. There's a firmament. Nobody can traverse the firmament. But when it comes to determining the Kadosh thing,
that you go to NASA for.
You go to NASA. Which one is it, brothers and sisters? Which one is it? Choose ye this day whom you will serve. If NASA is a nachash, a snake, and they're corrupt, you better learn how to tell time with Moshe's rod, and ask Yahuwah what angle to stick it in based on your lateral position. It's not hard. It's just a little work. But Kadosh work is good work.
Yes.
Right? Kadosh work is good work. But it is so ironic, and we're talking about people who do follow the time of heaven, and who are learning how to rightfully divide time. They mean
not
well.
by revelation, though. What I'm learning, though, brothers, there's some people that just go along to get along, and then there are people that get revelation. They're not the same.
Can't use Google. That's my point. In other words,
why not? Doesn't Google tell the truth? Why not? What's wrong with Google? You got a problem with Google, bro? Google tells you exactly when the feasts are. Just type it in. Just say, when's Passover? Google will tell you, right?
That's a rhetorical question, right? It'll tell you when the solar lunar time.
Doesn't Google always tell you the right day? Come on.
The point.
Come on.
But brother, listen, the people that are arguing with you, and many who argue with me, they are relying on whether it's Google, whether it's whatever, okay, but it's usually NASA and the U.S. Naval Observatory, which by the way is where JD now lives, in that thing over there. So which one is it? NASA stinks. NASA lies. The Earth is flat. The Earth is rectangle. Nobody's ever been to the moon. The moon thing was a hoax. Okay, fair enough. You're entitled to your point of view. And then when it comes to determining the most important things.
Right. How ironic. It's a very good point.
Very, very,
very, very good point. And how many of us right now are going, oh boy, you know what? I'm guilty. Right? This is why it became such an issue, guys. This is one of the reasons why this topic became a front and center topic for Remnant House. And then in 2018, as I said, I produced a broadcast that's still on our channel to discuss this very issue because, as a matter of fact, they deleted my channel. I had something like 40,000 subscribers. They deleted everything. And I had to start a new channel. But I went back and got that video to make sure it was on the new channel because, but it was right after that, as a matter of fact. So you have some very anti-Zadok forces in the earth.
Yeah.
They are very, very strong. They are very angry. And they have sent out their minions with great anger and wrath. So don't think lightly of that. And remember what I told you guys the other day or on Shabbat. There are people who are paid to cause division.
Yeah.
They are literally paid. Google pays them to cause division. You laugh, but it's so true.
Yeah.
And when I figured this out, I went, "Oh my goodness, these
I'm
are
laughing
human
at the enemy. Yeah, the enemy's crazy.
These are human traffickers, and what their whole thing is to recapture lost slaves. So they have an anti-evangelism. These are the guys that go out and capture any slave that got loose. And they're very good at it, folks. They use humor, they use ridicule, they use all the things written in the book of Mark, chapter 4, to get you to drop a word. Drop that word, right? So remember what he told us. He said the first attack would be a snatch. You just forgot about it. He distracted you with some other nonsense. You forgot what the word was, and you dropped it. The second attack is what you're seeing with these, Google channels and people debating and what have you. They're not pursuing the truth. They're only trying to ridicule. They're only trying to shame. They're only trying to make you drop that word. So if you can see it, you go, "Oh, that's what this tactic is."
Yeah, but when they
drop this word tactic. Go ahead, brother.
When they do that, it's not anti-Zadok in its originality. It's anti-heaven. It's an anti-heaven,
anti-Mashiach. Yeah,
it's an anti-heaven position because who are the ones who were keeping clean time? They were the Melachim, right?
Right.
So it's an attack on the Kadosh people. Pardon me, the Kadosh Melachim, the Kadosh angels. That's the source of those who rightfully divide time. So you can attack the Zadokites, but you're actually coming against the clean things of heaven and what's going on in the heavens. You're coming against clean angels. You should be coming against unclean angels. So those who are ridiculing or violently, like you say, violently coming against the Zadokites, let them understand from this day forward, they're coming against Yahuwah's servants, the heavenly angels.
You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a kadosh nation. So when you said you thought it was a slip of your tongue, no, it is a kadosh people. You are a kadosh nation, and when you set apart in this way, you are manifesting what the word in the Shamayim has now arrived into the earth. So again, the word of the Shamayim, the word in the heavens, has to land, right? So that it is in earth as it is in heaven. In order to have that, you have to have a kadosh people enough to where they were willing to go ahead. Now, how do I know someone is kadosh and someone is truly a servant of Yahuwah? First of all, never would they ever go out into the public to do harm to their brother. To do harm to your brother is such a massive violation of the Torah. It's a dead giveaway. A dead giveaway that they are actually Nephilim. Imposters pretending to be your brothers and sisters to, at the moment of critical decision-making, turn you in the wrong direction. These are Judas goats. They look like you. They walk among you. But they changed tactics. They decided they couldn't beat you, so they decided to join you and then infiltrate and change the way you think. So the sons of darkness tactics are very clever and they're diabolical. With their intention is always the same: to steal, to kill, and to destroy
Yeah.
Yahuwah's anointed.
Look,
Yahuwah's
you see,
anointed.
yes, Yahuwah, but look, Yahuwah works through many channels, right? Many veins. Look, what is restoring the hearts of the fathers to the children? The spirit of Elijah, right?
Right.
Well, that's not the only spirit of restoration. The spirit of Enoch is restoring the ability to rightly divide time.
Right.
So the spirit the spirit of Enoch is no less important than the spirit of Elijah. While Elijah is restoring the hearts of the fathers to the children and the two houses of Israel to become one new man, Ephesians 2, at the same time, the spirit of Enoch is revealing heavenly time. That spirit is
Yeah.
alive in the earth.
Yes.
That spirit is just as much alive as the spirit of Enoch. And both
That's
are
right.
needed. Getting back to what you always say, well, what's the competition between the spirit of Elijah and the spirit of Enoch? None.
None.
They have different assignments.
Right.
They're different assignments, different
Different
callings.
assignments. Right. And why should there be any competition? You think about this. Where does this come from? This comes from a hunger or a lust for something, right? This is
Yeah.
where this comes from. And there should not be. I celebrate. This is the true father's heart. And this is what I believe. You can all decide what you believe, but I believe the father's heart celebrates everyone's victories.
Yeah.
Think of a father when he looks at his family. He doesn't say, darn that Johnny, he's better at baseball than me. He doesn't care. He's happy Johnny's knocking it over the fence.
Yeah.
Okay. I look at my grandson. He's a super athlete. I'm always proud of him. When he was 3 years old, he could throw that softball. And when I was a kid, I was a pitcher. So he got it genetically. I'm like, look at him go. I'm proud of him, right? I'm not
Yeah.
competing with him. I'm happy. I'm delighted. If one of the people that I taught, I used to teach people to play golf. And if you got a birdie, I don't care if I got a triple bogey. I'm happy you got that birdie, man. I'm
Yeah.
celebrating with you. That's a father's heart. And by the way, I think that's where we're all going. So, where you're getting to the point where you just celebrate each other. You love one another, really, truly love your brother. Okay. And I mean, it's not easy to demonstrate. I've had people that I knew were my enemy. I knew people were sending me notes before I did anything for the person. Saying, this guy's your enemy. Watch out. I'm like, yeah, but I love people. And I'm not going to stop being a person walking in love because you're dedicated to hate or snares or anger. I'm going to walk in love regardless. You're not going to change me. You're not going to modify me because of the way you're behaving. You're just going to look bad.
Very good. Very, very true. Yeah. But the point is, getting back to the original, Elijah and Enoch are both working in the earth, but they have different assignments, and there's no competition.
Competition.
But I got, again, I may be using this broadcast over the weeks, week number 7 now, to go to confession. I mean, the kosher kind. But I'm a kind of a loving guy now. I'm like you. I mean, I forgive my enemies, whatever. But that part of it is the senior citizenship thing. Like when I was in my 40s or 50s, not so much.
Too much fire. Too much
fire.
You got too much ambition.
Here's the benefit of aging. I'm able to apply more of what you say. Less, if you don't walk in that kind of love and mercy and mercy that rejoices against judgment, I mean, 2 cardiac events are enough, right? I don't want to go for number 3, and it's all related, right?
That's right.
Related. So I'm more like I approach things more like you do now, but maybe 9 years ago, you and me would have been competing. And I even said to you before we began these broadcasts, Peter, I got a problem. You remember?
Yes.
I didn't say problem, but I was insinuating. You're a type A. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but you can be a type A personality, and I'm definitely like AAA personality, especially when the camera's on. Okay, I'm more laid back in the living room, to be honest with you. You'd be surprised, but and I'm saying, are you sure we can coexist? And you're like, yeah, man, I'll just sit there. Which I didn't want, but I was a little concerned because we could be bumper cars if we're not careful. But you're setting a good example for me, like no competition. I mean, let's Your mi casa es su casa.
I feel like we're two Jewish boys because I grew up.
Nice Jewish boys. Don't
We grew up on the
deny
east in the
nice.
East Coast. You learn how to talk over each other but not insult each other. It's the weirdest thing in the world.
What's that?
Which is really bad when you go west because you notice that he and I don't offend one another.
Why are you looking at me when you say talking over? Why are you
We
looking
try
at me?
not to. We try not to because sometimes there's a delay, guys. Just so you know, sometimes there's a 2-second delay between when he stops and so you think he's done or I think he's done and he's not. You know.
Only Enoch knows if I'm done, brother. Don't feel bad.
But this is very East Coast, by the way. We don't get offended at that. We just keep rolling.
Yeah.
Just keep rolling, man.
No, but you know what? Can I say something? You know what? I know how spirit filled and joyful these broadcasts are, and I'm serious about this. When I listen on the radio, because you take the facial stuff out of it,
yeah,
and, see who reacts, because people are always looking at body language. At least smart people, right? Like, so, but when you listen on the radio, it's like, wow, this is pristine stuff, man. Really? I mean, I'm like, praise Yah for the things that come up. And the radio's
I think it's great conversation. I think a lot of people have questions. And by the way, guys, great point to segue and say, if you have questions, someone asked one during the Evangelist Corner last night. And I loved it. Can I just encourage you guys, while we're here, you've got us, you got our undivided attention. You're welcome to shoot a question. And if we don't get to it this time, we may, have to come back to it, but just know that that's our heart and we may not know the answer. Yeah. I like to say, let's go look at it together and let's go look for the answer together.
Yeah. But I want
to caution everybody though. I want to just keep this caution up there and I want to just finish with this and then you can share your point. Is that be really careful with the bitter-hearted people that are out there.
Yeah.
And I keep warning you all because the word says that a root of bitterness will spring up and defile you.
Yeah.
It doesn't defile the person you're angry with.
Yeah.
It doesn't defile the person you think did something wrong. It defiles you.
Yep.
The person holding the bitter heart. Okay. And some of you need to make your way back to my brother Moshe and apologize. Not for his sake, for your own. The same is true with me, but it's definitely true with Moshe. You need to make your way back. You don't have to become friends. You don't have to be buddy, but for your sake, you do need to clear this piece of business because when you hold those offenses, they mess with your walk.
Not only they mess with your walk, they spring up and defile many. So the ones you really love, like your wife or your children.
Oh boy, good point.
If you don't deal with Bubba,
mm-hmm.
who is going to allow that root to mess up your own family and the ones you supposedly treasure. So don't think you're going to get away with it. Don't think you're going to get it. It defiles many. If it defiled yourself, it wouldn't be a problem. It wouldn't be that big of a problem. What makes it a bigger problem is it's defiling many and Achan, and now you got the hidden thing, and then you got the 10. Right. You got that whole scenario.
That's right. Right underneath here, you see contact information. Okay, no one has an excuse for not picking up a phone or an email if you have a problem, a question, you're offended. Do not think that Yahuwah will look favorably upon anyone who goes out there and does it their own way. Okay, but if you do it your own way, you're gonna get yourself in trouble. I'm just warning you so that you don't get in trouble.
I'm gonna just touch on this and then move on, okay? Because we want to lift up Yahusha, but I just want to touch on this. The people, when I came into the Remnant House, okay, and I'm still there, the people, they dried up, man. I've never seen it happen so quick. It's like the fig tree that Yahusha cursed. That like you said, I know what you're going to say. We don't want judgment on anybody. We want, I know what you're going to, and I'm agree with you. But I've never seen stuff dry up that quick. Not a single video has come out of any of those places. Now, I hope and pray that they're under the conviction. I mean, we can only hope and pray. But don't mess with Yahuwah's fig tree because he'll dry up your fig tree. Remember? Master, why'd you curse that fig tree? Be quiet. I know what I'm doing, right? So that whole thing is dried up. All those sources that were coming against us. Now they
Right.
may be secretly talking, but publicly they dried up. Yeah, who would dry them up? Try going live. Then maybe they can't go live. But like you said, we in the end we want them to make the shuvah and so forth. So here's a question.
These are people I'm praying for. So when
I
you,
know,
you
I know
know,
you're going to say
I
that.
don't rejoice in
I know
anyone's
you're going to say that,
demise.
but the facts remain; they dried up. Okay, just like the fact remained, there was a fig tree that dried up when Yahusha
Amen.
went to Yerushalayim. That's a fact. Okay, so here's something, and I think it's so easy to people who are legalistic and people who haven't favored mercy and I'm right, you're right, let's eat a mentality over the minor issues, not the major issues.
Yeah.
They're saying, like they say every year, the Aviv one is March 26th, Wednesday. So just briefly, and then you can go with it. Okay, just briefly. I'm going to say this as clearly as I can. The equinox is not the start of the year. It's not even the start of the season. It's the permission slip so that when the appropriate time rolls around, the Yom Revi'i, right? When you assigned the sun, the moon, you can't have time without the assignments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the equinox week is the permission. Now, the Wednesday or the Yom Revi'i of the equinox week is always New Year's Day. People get confused. They say, well, wait, if the equinox is on Saturday.
So is that the first day of the week?
Wait, no. If the equinox is on Saturday, or Shabbat.
Okay, yeah, but is that the first day of the week?
Sunday is the first day is the second day of spring. No. Listen, let me say this again. The equinox is not the first day of the year. It's not the first day of spring. It's the permission that when the next Wednesday rolls around, or the closest Wednesday,
the closest within 4 days.
that 7-day window, within that 7-day window, you may begin the year.
Right. And so this is why we confirm it, folks. And the equinox is a part of it. So is the full moon. That also has an elemental component to it. And so, they're all present in the guarding of Abib. However, once that is guarded and it is set, was the sun, moon, and stars established on the very first day of the week? The answer is no. It was established on the 4th day of the week. So when you use that method, as the Zadok did, you don't begin day 1. So those people who erroneously say, oh, this is the first day of the year, it is day 1, therefore it is it's Yom Ahad, it's Yom Rishon, it's the first day. No, incorrect. And then they will jack up the Shabbat and they will jack up everything else because they're walking in confusion. And this is what happens. Okay. So it's the 4th day. And the 4th day is always going to be the first day of the year. I know it, maybe somebody might get confused by that, but that's the way it is. And then you have to go from there. So those that are trying to change it, somebody wrote to me, oh, well, you're crazy because if the first day of the year is this day, then the Shabbat should be this day. And it's like, that's if it's the first day of the week. It's not the same. So Sholiak, touch on this because there are people who struggle with this.
Here's the argument. I've heard some people say this, and they break friendship. Let me make this clear. This is nothing.
Oh gosh, that's another thing. Could you quit breaking friendship over these things?
To break friendship over I was guilty. Everybody who didn't keep lunar Shabbat, I used to keep lunar Shabbat. Okay, these are for people who stopped talking to Peter because of a stupid calendar. Okay, and I do mean stupid. All right. I kept lunar Shabbat. 1 week it was 1 month it was Monday, 1 month it was Tuesday. And I heard a lot of people, and I broke off good friendships over a secondary issue because none of us had a full understanding at that time. None of us had, I lost some good people. Don't lose friends and family over this. Because if you're still figuring things out, that means you're using math. You're already in sin. Because I already told you.
Pride.
We are to use heavenly math. I already told you that. The Zadokites, were not special in this case, other than they received heavenly math. Every time you use human math and you try to convince Peter of a different calendar, you're automatically wrong because you're using human math. Heavenly math is like the book of Isaiah or the book of Ezekiel. It's given as grace and it's deposited into your spirit.
That's right. He told you which one to watch and which one to follow, my brethren. When they were not sure where to go, and they asked, how will we know where to prepare the Passover? So what are you needing time for? Well, the whole entire point of time is so that you know the correct Kadosh days, and so that you will line up with heaven. So you are preparing for the Passover. And he tells you, when you go into the city, you will see a man carrying a pitcher of water. The reason why that is very unique is because you would never have caught any self-respecting Jew, Pharisee, Sadducee, or any other carrying a pitcher of water, which was women's work. Only a Zadok would humble himself to do such a task.
That's right. Getting back, you asked me about this season. Okay, so look. The year begins on the Wednesday during equinox week. Okay. Well, how can that be? Let's assume, what's the argument? How can it begin in the winter? In other words, if the equinox is on Thursday or Friday, and we begin the year Wednesday before the equinox, we're starting the year on Wednesday. No, because
you're making the equinox supreme. The equinox is not
a season marker. There are 4 season marker days. Oh, I wish I had an audience. There are 4 season marker days at the end of each season. Neither the spring or the fall equinox starts the season. Okay? Right. The month, for instance, the 4th month starts the summer. The 1st month starts the spring. So the spring equinox and the fall equinox are permission slips. In other words,
way to put it. It's a great way to put it. Permission slip.
That's a great way to put it. You can celebrate the 7th month because the fall permission has been given. You can celebrate Passover and start the year because the spring permission. The fact that one day is the equinox is on let's say Friday, and you declare that Wednesday during equinox week as the first of the year. Oh my gosh, you're starting the year in winter. No, you're not.
So I heard this argument. You're
starting the week during spring week. Let me say that again. Spring break. Y'all ever hear of spring break? There's your answer. You're starting the week during spring break. You're not starting in winter. That 1 week is a transition.
That is a transition.
Yeah, you're in the transition period.
Well, and we saw people that were making statements. I saw somebody say, New Year's March 26th. That's an error. I'm going to tell you flat out that's error. Once we have calculated and once you guarded the equinox, what that does do for you, where that is valuable, is it cannot be more than 4 days. So you are adding a week. So this is what they're doing. They're going to add a week.
Yeah.
So they're adding a priestly course. It's a big deal to do this. All right. Yeah. And you're adding this week because you believe that you need it. But you see, when you added it, you broke the very rule that you were trying to protect. And they did this several years ago. I watched a group do this. And it's like, well, you now broke the rule you were trying to protect. Now you can't make a correction that breaks the very rule that you're trying to preserve, which is exactly what they did. So here it's on this day, and they went 6 more days to start their new year. So now they put the new year 6 days away, which is a violation. It doesn't work that way. And so
go ahead, finish. Go ahead.
This simple thing is so simple. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's too simple. Can't write books about it, can't do seminars, can't do big old conferences on it. I don't know.
Let me address this because I don't have many areas of expertise, but this is one. This is one of them. This in ballroom dancing. All right. Can you imagine me ballroom dancing? La 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 la. Anyway, so
somehow I think you pull it off, but go ahead.
Let's assume March 26th is the new year. Gay Gesundheit. Okay, you happy now? All right, no. Let's assume April 7th is the new year. Whatever calendar you came up with.
You're on, right? Whatever you're on.
You want me to show you how in 4 months they're going to be going down the Niagara River
in serious trouble?
No,
right.
In Niagara River without a paddle. Ready? The seasons are no longer 4 seasons of 91 days. The summer season is approximately 93, and the fall season is approximately 92. I don't recall offhand. So the fall equinox is always on September 22nd or 23rd. That's the fall. But y'all keeping Yom Kippur and Yom Teruah somewhere about 4 or 5 days earlier. So even if you start on a different day, March 26th, don't matter. You're going to be off on the fall equinox because why? Because something's broken. It's called the fall of man. So instead of having four seasons, with each season having 3 months, with each of those 3 months having, with each of those seasons having 91 days, now the winter has 88 days. Now the spring has 91 days. Now the summer has 93 days. Dude, every season has a different amount of days. So even if you start March 26th, here's the good news. By the time you get to the 7th month to keep your feasts, you're already off, because how dare you keep the Feast of Trumpets and Yom Kippur before the fall equinox? Because the fall equinox is September 22nd. So you're going to be keeping the feast either before or after. Because if you add that week, right? If you add that week, March 26th, you're going to jump from September 17th to September 24th. You're going to be starting Yom Teruah 1 day after the fall equinox. Bad English, good point. Stop playing these games and just do what the priests did and what the Zadokites. Stop playing these games, okay?
Stop. Well, I think it's a huge hubris and arrogance to say I know better than the Zadok.
Right.
I really, really, really struggle with that. Like, wow, what arrogance that is! Right. What hubris that is! You're 2,000 years removed from where they were, and they were removed quite a distance from the stuff that they were working with. They had a more complete library, and this was the conclusion. I refuse to argue with them. I refuse. So anybody that wants to do that, help yourself. But I see that as massive levels of arrogance. I believe that these things are being restored to us to save us, to deliver us, just as they did Noah, because Noah was on correct time. How did Noah know the 15th day of the 3rd month? How did he know? How would he know without Abib, barley, and all kinds of other nonsense?
The seasons are different. Let's take Mr. Malcolm X. He's telling everybody online that the new year begins March 26th, right? Well, here's your problem. The Feast of Trumpets is going to be with adding 1 week. So it's normally on the 17th of September, let's say. Now you add a week. So you're going to be celebrating the Feast of Trumpets on September 24th. And Bubba, the fall equinox is on the 22nd. So you're missing it by at least 2 days, because the seasons are no longer 91 days each. You see what I'm saying? Right. They get tripped up by their own calculations because something's broken. Let's be honest and tell people, okay, if you don't have 4 seasons of 91 days, something is broken. And you know what is broken? We got to go shopping. Why? Because we're not holistic eating from the trees anymore. We have to go to the doctor. Why? Because we rejected Yahusha as our doctor in the Garden of Eden. There were no doctors. There were no emergency rooms. Nothing in the original pattern. Nothing in the original pattern. So everyone who is arrogant and starts March 26th, March 28th, the second day, the first day of spring, you're going to be on either side of the equinox. The original creation is like this. The first day of creation week was the spring equinox, Wednesday. The fall equinox, again, Wednesday. But that was creation week. Has anything happened between creation week and today?
This big giant flood. This little flooding thing happened.
Because originally, brother, every Yom Teruah should have been.
And it looks like the sky was ripped open too.
Every Yom Teruah should have been, right?
It looks like we got melted buildings and melted mountains.
Every Yom Teruah should have been on the fall equinox, right? Am I right? Every Yom Teruah. If the fall equinox is 4 days after the Feast of Trumpets, you're starting the Feast of Trumpets in the summer, dude. Go fix it. I can't. Neither can I. You get it?
Somebody else shifting gears just slightly because this is another element that came out. And of course, a great amount of effort. If you go on our website, and I'm sure the same is true with Yati, a great amount of effort goes into consecrating a piece of land, especially where Yahuwah commands His name. Anybody that takes that lightly doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
And so, of course, Americans are a bunch of pig farmers. So what do they know about Kadosh, right? But I digress. And so essentially they do not understand that which is set apart by Yahuwah is set apart for the reasons that we are discussing. So Kadosh days, Kadosh celebrations, and so forth. And while you can say, well, the feasts, they were held anywhere, it didn't matter, you can hold them in your dwelling and so forth, there is that which Yahuwah does command, where He does designate His name. This is what the Torah says.
Yeah.
Some people believe that can only be done in Jerusalem, which I think is ludicrous. I think you sent me a video of somebody that went off on a goofy tangent. The first Passover was held in Egypt, so that just blew that whole discussion. But it is a good one because I think that it helps you understand that there are issues of place.
Yeah.
And the place that Yahuwah commands His name. This is why the 12 stone altar is very important. Consecrated area doesn't have to be, I own a lot of land. So, the section that is set apart to be Kadosh for this purpose of worship is not the whole piece, it's this piece that's here. So, in a place that has a consecration, that doesn't mean the entire state. Just because my brother's in Florida doesn't mean the entire state of Florida is now Kadosh. It just means that this section that he was able to carve out and Yahuwah commanded a place to be worshipped and to be honored has been established. This is very important because there Yahuwah commands the Berakah, because we're dwelling together in Ahad, unity, right?
Amen.
And so this is the commanded blessing.
Amen.
Yes, we do not have ideal. So some people are like, I can't wait for the ideal. I can't wait for the fourth cup too. I'm desiring the fourth cup too with Mashiach. We're not there yet, but we still look forward to it every year.
Yep.
And we celebrate and do this in remembrance every year. So for somebody to say or suggest to you that keeping the feast cannot be done except in Jerusalem, or some other nonsense like this, is just troubling the saints.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, but go ahead, finish.
Because when He gives us a Kadosh place to stand, and then from there we broadcast. So where is Moshe? On Kadosh land. Where am I? On Kadosh land. Right now we are broadcasting to you from Kadosh, from place that's set apart to talk to you. Okay, so if you come to us or you connect in our broadcast, either way, you're coming to Kadosh.
Yeah.
When you come to the altar and you're coming through the screen, you say, oh, I'm not physically there, but my Ruach is with you. You've come to Kadosh. You've come to Kadosh. So you did it. You came to the Kadosh place. So this is why when we say, when you bring your offering, like he'll put his QR code or something up on the screen, and people will come and bring the maser to Yati, right? What are they doing? It's as if it's the same thing. He is giving an accommodation and letting you walk up through this medium, right? Through this exchange. He's allowing it by grace. Okay. Yeah. But why does this work? Because you are on Kadosh land.
Yeah.
And so if you want to keep the feast, but you want to do it on Kadosh land, and you want to do it Kadosh, connect with those who already are on the Kadosh land, and connect with them, and you will stay connected. And that Ahad anointing of where brethren dwell together in unity will flow to you in your home there, connected to Yati or to us here. Why? Because Kadosh extends. It goes.
Connectiveness, which you're always talking about, and that's beautiful. Now, Anybody that says you have to be in Jerusalem to celebrate Pesach and the other Moedim, let's start with Pesach, is lying to you. Now, I'm not going to accuse them of willfully lying. They may be deceived, but they're lying. Why? Simple. Watch. When the first Pesach, was that in Jerusalem? No. How about Pesach's number 2 through 40? Did we forget the next 39 Pesach? Where were they? And where was Pesach during when Daniel was keeping Pesach with Shadrach, Meshach, and a bad Negro for
a bad Negro? He's a bad. He was an Negro.
Brother. No, so they were keeping. They were serving Yahuwah in Torah in Babylon for 70 years. Excuse me. Where did they go for Passover? Do you think they went to Jerusalem? No. So the idea that you have to be in Jerusalem to obey forever, and you always talk about, Apostle Peter, you always talk about forever, yes? Forever plans, forever covenants, right? That's really what the goal is, right? Well, which part of forever don't we understand? Yahuwah says forever in all your generations. But I'm on a boat this year. Forever in all your generations. Just like the 4 seasons are messed up. Everything's messed up. So do the best you can. Don't ignore the instruction. Do the best you can.
And I don't have any particular love for the ministry.
Church can do better. That's their sin. They're not on a boat. Okay, I'm sorry. The church can do better. Go ahead.
That's right. I was just going to say, just to add to your point, it's an excellent point, brother. And I was just going to say, to add to that I don't have any particular love for the ministry that was. I mean, I don't not love them. It's just not like, something on my main radar. But when I saw this evisceration, it got me very unhappy. I was very unhappy with what I saw because it was opportunistic. This person could easily have gone to the person they had a problem with. They could have shared it, but they were opportunistically taking advantage of the other person's popularity. So this other person they were beating up is very popular, has a big following, has a lot of people, and so they took advantage of that because they're nobodies, whatever.
Spirit of competition.
And there's just a competitiveness. So it's like, I found something that I can make a soapbox out of. You just outed yourself. It's all you did. You just outed yourself as a Pharisee and an opponent of Yahuwah's anointed. And even if I could find error with this other person that you were attacking, it doesn't matter. Your spirit has been exposed as one that has a defilement. You have a bitter root. And this is why, again, guys, when we talk about the alliance of remnant ministries, the Matthew 18 protocol is not optional. It's not up to how you feel. It is a deal breaker. It is where we separate the Nephilim from the real, authentic sons of Eluah Hayam. Because he used it as a separator. Why did he tell them this? He said, you do it this way. Why? Because this way, everyone will know you're not one of them.
Wow.
Because you're going to be surrounded by them. You're going to be the minority. They're going to be the majority. They don't need to be married to multiply.
Right.
These people own brothels. How do you think they were able to grab a woman so quickly and throw her in the midst of a conversation? Because they own the brothel. All right. So, when you start understanding who you're dealing with, folks, and you start understanding the level to which they are committed to your destruction, you will change who you listen to really quickly. Kadosh is Kadosh. And this is very important that we remember that. Go ahead.
Very important with the Moadim. The Moadim are in all your generations, in all your dwellings. But I'm in Korea. I'm serving the United States Armed Forces. In all your dwellings. What part of all? For years I've been saying, okay, everybody get out their crayons. Spell with me. We're going to have a spelling contest. ALL. Okay. Feeling better now? Let's do that again now. And how about forever? FO, right? All right.
That's right.
Which part of forever are you struggling?
What part of that did you not get? Well, see, the Nephilim don't get any of it. So there's a mental disconnect. And you may say, well, what does that mean? Are you talking about giants, Peter? No. Listen carefully. I'm talking about people who look just like you. They were standing there opposing Messiah and he called them out as the brood of vipers. They're
That's right.
sons of the devil. You are sons of your father, the devil. He told you to your face
Told you
who
what
they
you
were,
told you what you didn't
right?
know.
Right there. So
Mhm.
now you see that he who can see in the spirit is going, let me tell you what these are. These are not real people. These are people, these are mankind. They look like man, but they were made to deceive you. So just so you can distinguish between my authentic people and these fake imposters, my people, this is what Mashiach is telling you, love one another. This is how you will know them.
Behavior,
They will forgive one another.
character, character,
They would rather give you a coat and a cloak.
character. Yeah.
Somebody's my enemy, and then somebody says he's your enemy. I said I'm going to buy him a ticket, and I'm going to pick him up at the airport, and I'm going to give him food, and I'm going to take care of him. Why? Because I'm going to smear this on top of his head, and let's see how he behaves. And if he
So-
behaves as my enemy, then he's outed himself. But if he behaves as my friend, then he's shown all of you were wrong.
So you're
Right?
saying,
So he gets to choose.
so you're saying that a nafal can talk in tongues,
Yeah.
a nafal can give money to the
Yep.
to the kitty. What a nafal cannot do is manifest the character of Messiah, the character
is.
and the love. Just like Satan can do miracles, but he cannot love and create. He cannot love and create. Okay, he can mirage creation.
They'll
So-
always find a way to make sure you know what they gave too, by the way.
So in other words,
He was
but here's the
clever,
trick.
clever.
What you're saying, yeah. What you're saying is this, and I didn't realize this, and if I didn't, I'm guessing others didn't. See, when we read John chapter 8 and those verses there, we're thinking about religious people. And in our understanding, if you're not a Gibor or a Zimzum or you know, a giant 18 feet tall, like,
Right. Rephaim or something, right?
you're not a nafal. And that's that I didn't realize that until I came into your ministry. And I know that means other people, because I looked at them as poor, lost religion people. And Yahusha saying, but let me tell you what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm picking up on that. Meaning Satan's going to, if he has to come as a wrestling midget, that doesn't mean he's not a nafal. See, the way religion has programmed us, the only Nephilim we recognize are the ones that are Goliath. You see what I'm saying?
There you have it.
And I came out of that.
Are you
That's where
awake now? I think hopefully everybody's going, yeah, then you got it. Now you got it. Now you got it. So the guy you're working for.
You know what I'm starting to think? I'm starting to think that people that come to our weekly get-togethers need some kind of cayenne pepper or smelling salt, because they get floored by what comes out of our mouth sometimes, and they're like, "Brother, do you got the smelling salt?"
I had an elder that said to me one time, I said, how come you're not with me at the midweek service? And he looked at me. This was 25 years ago. This is a long time. He goes, Peter, I am still chewing what you gave me over the weekend.
That's what I mean.
I do not want you to put another thing on my plate.
That's what I mean.
Until I've had a chance to chew the steak you just dropped on me. And he had me cracking up.
Yeah.
But it's true, because they can't, it's like the attention span has been affected. Our enemy has attacked our attention span and our ability to.
If they're awaking, what does it matter if we need smelling salt? So if somebody's floored by what's coming out of our mouths, right, and they got to bring a little smelling salt or cayenne pepper, isn't that part of being awoke? I mean, whatever it takes, right? I'm being half facetious,
and you should be able to verify. I know you're being funny, but listen, you should be able to verify these things.
No, but it's floored.
You should be able to,
I never saw them
exactly.
as Nafal. I think of Nafal as Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're saying is, and I'm just, I'm paraphrasing. If Satan has to send a wrestling midget, right, in the worldwide, in the whatever they call it nowadays, right, then he'll come as a midget, and he'll still be a Nafal because it's in the seed, it's in the DNA.
Right.
That's why Messiah is not called the concept of peace. He's called the sperma. Now, let me ask you a question in Greek. Is sperma a literal word or a spiritual word? Sperma. I had a baby with my sperma. Yes? It's a physical. These are physical Nephilim looking like, midgets.
There was one sitting at the table. Let me help you guys out. I know this is going to be tough for some of you, but there are 12 sitting here, he said. And one of you, He didn't
Is.
say has a devil. He said is a devil. You're Nephilim. I kept you because you have a job to do. Sit there. Don't move until I tell you. Now, when I tell you, go. What you do, go do quickly. Go on. Go betray me because
Yeah.
it's what you're built for. You cannot possibly function properly. We already know this. I'm going to show you all of you paying attention. Watch this. You go do what you need to go do. Everybody else, pay attention to how wicked this one is.
Mm.
Been sitting here with us this whole time, dipping his bread in my bowl. Watch.
Mm.
One who dips his bowl. Are you all paying attention? This is Mashiach talking to his disciples. You all watching? He tells them right in front of his face. Right in front of his face. Completely goes over his head. He's oblivious. And he says, he's the one that dips his cup with it, dips in my bowl. He's the one that's going to betray me. And so then he tells him, go do what you do. What? Why did he give him the job he gave him? You handle the money because your father invented it. So, go sit over there with that. Okay.
Money
All
and
right.
run.
Did you guys not see that he had a Nephilim with him the whole time? You didn't see that? Okay.
A lot of people
And so what did you don't see? And so they only react after the fact. Have you noticed? They wait until they're in trouble. Only after they're in trouble. What do the Nephilim? When do the Nephilim cry? When do they cry? They only cry when the judgment has come. Please, oh Enoch, when you go up there, would you take a note for us? Would you pray for us? Now that I'm in trouble, now I'm sorry.
And when they're discovered.
Yeah. Now I'm sorry. Now I'm repenting.
Wow.
Okay. Not before. Whereas repentance should be sought with tears beforehand. And even though somebody says, oh, Peter denied Mashiach 3 times. Yes, he was he was thrown by what he was experiencing. He was in an emotional state. So, but was he real? Was he a Nephilim? No. How do you know?
Authentic.
Look what he did.
Authentic.
Look what he did. He returned. He repented and returned. This tells you right there.
Mammon was not part of the equation.
That's right. That's right. There it is. He returns to Mashiach. And that love is what's authentic. Everybody else is fake. So they'll paint at you, Moshe, and they'll say, you're selling Bibles, so you're bad. Meanwhile, they're the crooks, but they'll try to find something against you.
And they'll eat the worms. They'll eat the bread with the worms in it and never question it.
Right. Meanwhile, you're giving away as many as you sell. You're doing things all the time to help people. See, if they don't see this.
Like David said last night, only when Yahuwah tells me.
Right. Because when Yahuwah tells you.
I'll give somebody a scripture, but only when Yahuwah tells me.
Why? Because if you just go non-protunctly and you just go do this, you look like a bobo, as we used to say. And you don't accomplish anything. You're just a sucker. You're not accomplishing a thing. And you have to be strategic with the giving and the blessing and the things. This is something I've learned. I've made a lot of mistakes helping people, thinking I was helping, and then realizing after a while that I didn't help anybody. I actually made it worse.
Let me just throw this in here. I don't know how much time we have, but you ain't going nowhere. I'm going to keep you here today.
That's right.
No, kind of. I don't know how much, but I'm sure we have a little time. I don't look. I can't look at the clock while I minister. I know the clock is there. I'm like,
don't worry about the clock.
You take it. So anyway, this is profound, and it's so simple, and it doesn't need me to share it. It is so profound. Now listen to what I want everybody to listen to what I'm saying. I've been in the Messianic movement, Nasarim, Shmatzarim, Matzarim, the Matzah movement, Matzarim. Okay. I've been in this for a long time. And not that I'm an old man, but I got a lot of old memories. Okay. Once people come out of the church, they love to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
And now it's about making matzo ball soup, eating kosher, how long the tzitzit are, what is the purple color. And you know what's forgotten? Evangelism. Now, what makes Remnant House, and I'm gonna pinpoint it. I've been doing this for 4 decades. You can in all the Messianic congregations I've been to, and I've been to scores. I've started scores. They don't evangelize. They are so bitter and wounded by the church system that evangelize them the wrong way that they want nothing to do with it. When I used to go on the streets, they used to say, you're forcing people. When I used to go out looking for the lost and feeding the hungry, they said, well, if it's really Yahuwah, you have to wait and let them come to you. They've developed an antagonistic spirit. This ministry, I don't know what this is, yours, mine, ARM, right? One of the few that are left who keep Torah, believe in the two houses, believe in the true name, keep the Moedim according to the division of time of angels and Moses and Torah, and still believe in evangelism. Peter, you can count them on one hand. Go up and down the internet on all these messianic websites. You won't find one half of a verse about the Great Commission. So when I saw that with you, and nothing to do with David, nothing to do with Sunday night, when I heard you, what winning souls, saving souls, I'm like, that's the way. There's a balance. We keep Torah, we guard the commandments, but we don't forget. The Great Commission is still great. Just because the church wounded us and lied to us doesn't mean it's not great. It's still great. Amen. Not great in number, but great in authority and dunamis. And an effective agape. It's great, the Great Commission, right?
Amen. Amen. Without understanding that, you start to lose. You start to guard the gate. You become like the Pharisees who prevent others from entering in. And so you cannot allow this to come into your heart. And this is the absence of love. So the love of many wax cold. The entire point of him sending his sons is not to condemn. And this is what starts happening as people come into knowledge. The knowledge will puff up, and then they start to become condemners instead of liberators. And we are not here to condemn our brethren. He did not send his son into the world to condemn. Neither did he send any other sons into the world to condemn.
But whoever thought that whoever thought that evangelism would become a dirty concept. I am telling you that in the Messianic movement, it has become something that is frowned upon.
Yes.
Those of you who don't know anything about Remnant House or Yadi or anything else, we are not ashamed of the gospel, Romans 1:16, which at its core includes love for brethren enough to evangelize them. We are special, Peter. We are special. In that regard, we are special. They've lost their love for souls because now they're into Torah and getting it right and getting Jerusalem time right.
Doesn't that seem a bit self-centered and selfish? It seems to me like you're trying to preserve your own life. And instead of seeking to save the lives of others. And I just find that so counterintuitive to Mashiach's words. So you got this group, we're going to get together and we're going to get ourselves together. We're not inviting anybody else in, and we're going to be snarky toward anybody that comes near us. How is this kadosh? I don't get that. So
and how are we going to grow by osmosis?
I don't expect, especially the snarky thing and the, being mean and talking down.
But I'm going to make a statement here that everybody's going to disagree with. Watch my lips. The church, when it comes to evangelism, I know about the false altars. I got all that, okay? When it comes to evangelism, they're experts. When it comes to keeping Torah and discipleship, they can't mentor a frog, okay? We're strong with mentoring, but the church is strong with evangelism, so we throw the baby out with the bathwater. That the truth is, let's be honest, with the altar, with the curses, with the fourfold, all that's 100% true. But most of us, not all of us, got saved in the evangelistic outreach of the church. And then, praise Yah, he let us out of there. So let's be honest. When it comes to mentoring, they need us because we teach them Torah. But when it comes to evangelism, they know what they're doing, and they haven't forgotten that. So let's be balanced when we scold some, a system or an organization.
Great point.
Let's be balanced. When it comes to
let's work together.
Things, they do it right. That evangelism and what makes our ministries, even if I had never met you, okay, Yadi never stopped winning souls. My wife goes to town, she hands him a pamphlet, she gives him a business card, she sits down, she doesn't come home for 6 hours. I know what she's doing. She's evangelizing. But we're the exception. It shouldn't be that way. In the Messianic Nazarene, it shouldn't be that way.
That's right. That's right. Did you hear that, guys? It shouldn't be that way. And so I'm pretty sure my brother David's over there going, amen. Let's get him in the water. Let's get him in the water. Isn't he just a delight? Don't you just love him?
He's sweet.
I
Is he
just
like
love
that
his
in
heart.
real life? Is he like that
He
in real
really
life?
is. He really is.
He's a sweetie.
That's just the way
We need
he is.
sweethearts. We need sweethearts. Everybody can't be like me, you know. We need
We
repentant.
need you too.
We need
We
repentant.
need you
New
too.
Yorkers. We need repentant New Yorkers. Is David have?
Yeah.
Does he have a New York connection or no?
Yeah, no, he does. Though he was born elsewhere, but he would his family, because he's my cousin, so we all celebrated together. And everybody, when my grandparents lived for many years in New York before moving to California, so the family would all come together there. And this is where we learned a lot. Yeah, Nueva York. That's right. That's right.
You know, there's an old saying that you could take the boy out of New York, but you can't fully take New York out of the boy. And that's true for me. I can't speak for everybody, but
I think the survival elements, the things you learned when you went through that, you cannot take that away. We learned how to discern trouble when we see it. We learned a lot of things. That's how we survived.
I learned how to play stickball. Remember stickball?
I remember that. I used to play a lot of stickball.
They used to buy them in the store with a pensy pinky.
A lot of stickball. I also learned not to win every game. If you win every game, you get beat up. Don't win every game. Throw a couple.
do a couple.
Don't win every game, man. It's bad news.
Do a couple of Black Sox scandals so you don't get beat up. All right, I'll tank it. I'll do a Black Sox scandal.
No, I'm not kidding, guys. Let me tell you something. You know, when you're gifted, and I have a brother, Scott Kale, who's he's a virtuoso. And people that are gifted, man, they get beat up because nobody likes them after they win something too many times. So you got to learn, like, if you're really, really gifted out there, really good, dial it back, because you're going to get people upset. You better dial it back, man. Oh, wow. Unless you're 8. And when you're 8 years old, you get away with it. But boy, I tell you, it's a hyper competitive world. And the Nephilim make it so. They are constantly they're at each other. They're always doing this. So when you see that trying to come into the household of faith, you'll notice we tend to ignore it. We go away from it. But you guys are out there, right? And you see somebody that's behaving that way or getting snarky, you know, don't just ixnay them. Don't disconnect from them. You know, walk over to them and help them and say, hey, we've got to be ahad. We've got to be united. So whatever my issues with this personality or that personality, whatever, let's stay ahad. Let's not make mountains out of molehills just because you don't happen to like, you know, Moshe's purple shirt that he's wearing today or whatever.
Yeah,
that's
right. We're almost out of time, as you know. It's like almost so.
I know. We almost
out of time. One thing that we can talk about next time, maybe. And I don't even know if this is a really good topic, but there's this one group. I'll send you a video in private, and this is crazy stuff, man. I thought I heard everything. Okay, I've heard it. You know that video I sent? That video pales.
Oh man!
And this
another one.
Check this one out. You know how we love the name of Yahuwah, and we treasured that He restored it and opened our eyes, right? Well, there's this group in Australia, and they're all hairstylists. Okay. And this is what they teach, Peter. I've never heard this in my life, that Yahuwah is no more. What happened to Yahuwah? He morphed like a butterfly and a caterpillar into Yahusha. In other words, Yahuwah no longer exists. And therefore, Yahusha alone is Elohim. These people are whack, man. I mean, I said, I don't want to be in their moccasins when they get to Judgment Day. They're actually out there teaching that Yahuwah morphed, not took on flesh. No, we understand that, right?
The amount of crazy that
crazy, man.
Need. Guys, this is what happens. The sequential event, and this is the reprobate mind. There's a certain percentage. It's kind of like parasites. If a person's body becomes overrun by parasites, eventually they become one. Hello. Okay. They become parasites. They're no longer filled with them. They become one.
That can only survive in a barber shop where there's no accountability. Okay. I'm telling you, but did you ever meet somebody that teaches that Yahuwah used to exist, but no longer exists? Today he's Yahusha. Not that he became Yahusha. which is true. In other words, the Father no longer, think about this, Peter. They have no accountability. If they had
Enoch 46, Enoch 48. People, you
right,
got to stop this.
they had
Just got to
accountability,
read.
there would be a Peter Martinez or somebody to bring them back, to try to bring. Being isolated is a precarious danger that you get
Yes.
into. Could you imagine that? In all my years, what do you mean the Father? Jehovah, Shmahovah, I've heard all kinds of theories, but to say the Father doesn't exist, I never heard.
You know,
Even the Pharisees will tell you that the Father exists. Oh my gosh! So
it's ludicrous, but it goes to show you, you just made a great point. Isolation is a bad idea, guys. When you're in isolation, you're always right. No one's arguing with you. And you can go down roads and start to form opinions that become so strong in you that even when counter information is shown, you won't let go. This is very dangerous. So how many times have you seen Sholiak Moshe or myself say, that's a good point, and here we're learning one from another, which by ourselves we do this to people. So in our own circles, we do this where we're sharing things and they're going, wow, I never saw that.
yeah,
Now we're doing it to one another.
yeah,
Which goes to show you
accountability.
that the gift doesn't change. The gift
No.
will rise or fall to the level of the audience that you're dealing with. I'm dealing with Sholiak here, right? So he's going to have a certain acumen, and everybody's different. However, the Ruach is always saying the same thing. So this is how you come into unity, is that you say, oh, wow, that's the same thing I just told somebody.
Learning
The
from
Ruach is always saying the same thing.
learning from one another is important, but in terms of when you get to a mature level, as fivefold ministers are, when you get to a mature level, it's more of the accountability.
Yeah.
I'm less likely to wake up one day and start teaching to 6,000 people that in order for Yahusha to walk the earth, the Father had to leave his throne and no longer exists. You'd call me to account. I had 3 or 4 other people say, brother, you're wrong. You should stop the Saturday broadcasts until you're sure of what you're saying.
Right.
That accountability is paramount.
Yes. And it's as much as we love everybody and we respect all gifts, this is, I think any sane person would agree, this is too dangerous at this point. Mm-hmm. It is too dangerous at this point to think you, the Lone Ranger, have it all figured out by yourself. So nobody, I don't care how gifted you think you are, can finish this race by yourself. You need your brothers. You need, if you are right and you have certain revelation that no one else has heard, and you got something that we all need, don't you realize we're going to confirm it? We're going to. I remember somebody who was nervous to bring something to Sholiak Moshe. Also, the same person nervous to bring something to me. In both cases, surprised by our reaction. Both times, separate, and neither one of us compared notes. And this person brought me something, and they were trying so hard to soft pedal it. I said, would you get to the point? Finally, they get to the point, and I'm like, oh, I agree with you. And they were shocked. Same thing happened with you. The same person brought you something, and you're like, oh, yeah, I agree with you. And they're like, I don't know what to do with this. You see, this is, they're anticipating conflict, anticipating a problem. And how many people don't just share and aren't honest or don't come and communicate because they presume they know how you're going to react. They presume they know, oh, you're going to reject it. I already know you're going to reject it. You don't know any such thing. Right. You don't know any such thing. So again, let's relearn one another. Let's come back to fellowship one with another. Yes, that's my admonition for the end of this broadcast.
Yes, exactly. All right, friends. Well, can I close if you don't mind? Yeah.
Yes, that was my close. That's my close.
All right, friends. Listen, it's been great spending whatever time we spent, and thank you for joining us again. We do appreciate it. Without you, we'd be talking to Jericho Walls, right? So thank you guys. We love you. Share this rebroadcast with everybody that you know needs it, and we bid you shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
And also a happy, if we don't talk to you, a happy and a healthy